It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau.
Welcome back to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavlich, and in the Grove, the big sexy Jesse Martineau, and our special guest this evening, the pride of Pictou, Nova Scotia. And hey, I know all you Sportsnet fans out there are watching, and from Sportsnet, a dear friend, Ken Reid.
What's up, Pav? What's up, Jesse? Pav, nice to see you, buddy. Been a while.
You too. You look. I was just saying earlier that you look this exact same. Botox. Okay, for everybody out there,
it's a miracle drug or whatever it is.
It's a substance, is it not?
I don't know.
No, I mean,
just make me look good. That's the rule of everything now.
It was that or grow a beard, Jesse.
Well, hey, believe it or not, I probably look younger without the beard now since too many whites are coming in there. Mark wants me to diet.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know. I don't think I should.
Grecian formula?
Or just for men, whatever one, the Grecian formula. What's the one with the baseball players?
Well, remember Rocket Richard was Grecian formula, right? You guys remember that one? 2 minutes for looking so good.
Take us back, Ken. Take us back, Ken. Take us back.
Well, Ken, I mean, thanks so much for joining us, first of all, but we've been watching you on Sportsnet for years. So, I guess, like, Nova, how do you get to that place where Mark said to Sportsnet? How do you make that progression? Because you were here in Edmonton too for a while, right? Like, so explain some of the process. Mark and actually can't know each other. We'll get to that in a little bit, but
we do.
But let's get to how do you get into Sportsnet?
Well, you gotta want to do it first off. It's like anything. You got to figure out what you want to do in life, and I figured out at a young age I wanted to be a sportscaster because I figured I wasn't much of an athlete and very, passionate about sports. Yeah. And I always wanted to do it since I was about 8 or 9 years old.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Like I wasn't one of those kids who went into the guidance office going, "Oh, what do I do? What do I do?" So I knew what I wanted to do, which was a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing for me. It was a curse for my father because he didn't try in school. You don't need to be that smart to be a broadcaster, right?
You just have to but you
just threw every other broadcaster under the bus.
Yeah, but you have to pay attention. As a broadcaster, you have to pay attention.
Landsberg's watching right now, like rolling.
Yeah, you got to be a good listener. You got to kind of let stuff soak in. But I didn't need to do physics or science or anything like that, so I didn't, which was to great disdain of my father, who was one of the town's doctors. So everyone was like, "What's wrong with your kid? Your kid's stunned." He's like, "He doesn't apply himself. He doesn't understand his potential."
But you asked him the average of the Ramco line in 91.
Right. White, Alamar, Carter, Molitor, and Alderud.
Ramco.
It's not like it's like that. It's not that I don't apply myself. It's just I don't care.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Got a journalism degree. Once you want to study it, you do, right?
Where'd you go to school for that?
University of Maine.
Okay.
So it's like anything. When you find an interest in something, you study it. So I took some courses I liked. I took the electives I like, and then you get out of school. It's like, okay, well, now what do I do? I have a journalism degree, big whoop. So then you got to work your way in somewhere. Right. So I started volunteering. You guys all remember, and most towns in Canada still have them, although not so much anymore. The local Channel 10, right?
Yeah.
The TV bingo.
Yep.
They're at the local junior A games. So I started volunteering at a station in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, doing the local junior A games. Did play-by-play for them. Wow. Got a job at that station for 2 years and 2 months, $8 an hour. Good times.
Did you want to do play-by-play? Was that the main one?
Yeah, that was the main goal. Yeah, and things kind of.
Is it still, Ken? Is it still like in the back of your head?
Yeah, it's in the back of my mind, Mark. But
you know why I tell you that, Ken? Put it out there on this show because many have put it out on the show. If you watch our YouTube channel, many guys have talked about being drafted a certain place, or people
Cyril
talked
Gann
about
getting a heavyweight shot.
Cyril Gann from the UFC was on our show. We've had guys from the NFL, and they put it out in the universe on the Me and Jesse podcast. And for some strange reason, with my obsession of retweeting this show probably 1 million times and putting it all over Facebook and Instagram and just being obsessed with it, I don't see why we can't see you on Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah, well, you know what? I got young kids now, and I actually enjoy having my weekends free and being
Yeah.
home with them. Although they do throw me on Hockey Night in Canada a couple times a year as a ringside reporter, which I love because I get to hold the Hockey Night in Canada mic and I get take a picture of this.
Do you get like you said, do you get like a little bit starstruck in that idea?
I used
still?
to, but no,
not anymore. Yeah.
Anymore. I used to. So yeah. I moved to Calgary from Dartmouth, and then you're covering the Calgary Flames. You're right. You're in an NHL dressing room, and then you're a little. But you have to tell yourself, Jesse, okay, I'm here because I belong.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And you try not to be starstruck, but I remember the first time interviewing Wayne Gretzky, I'm like, oh my God. Because my brother snuck into the press conference saying he's going to take a picture of it. And I'm like, if you do that, you're dead. And you can't do that. I'll get killed. And the whole time I'm interviewing Gretzky, I'm like, oh my God, I hope my brother's getting a picture of this. so, but now it's like, okay, you don't be starstruck. And then I worked from Calgary to Ottawa to Edmonton for 3 years at CTV Edmonton. That's where I met Mark. And then I moved to Toronto to pursue, to kind of, actually follow my fiance here and now wife, still married. And
Awesome.
then I started, I wanted to work at an all sports network, and thank goodness I found Sportsnet, and I've been here for going on 11 or 12 years.
Wow.
And with Ivanka for the entire time.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is awesome, and very happy to be, have a good, consistent gig where I get to do highlights. I get to be myself. Mark, you know me, I'm an idiot. I get to be an idiot on national TV. I don't take myself too seriously.
Oh, I think you're relatable. I think you're relatable.
Yeah, that's the key.
I don't know. Like you said, you're growing up as a kid wanting to be a sports announcer, and then you think to yourself, like, look at all the great sports announcers in my era. Okay, because I'm one era above you. Jesse's one below you. You're in the middle. But I remember watching Howard Cosell, and I remember watching all these people, and I thought to myself, you remember those people, Ken, and I get where you say that's what you wanted to do in life, because when I was watching, there were so many great sports announcers, whether it be horse racing, whether it be hockey, whether it be Howie Meeker, whether it be, I could name, I could give you a list of 1,000, you know what I mean? Because I'm not the guy that shuts the TV to watch the game. I need you to be good. You know what I mean? So I watch sometimes TSN, but I watch Sportsnet because of you, right?
Thanks,
and I watch certain people because of them. Not networks don't mean anything to me for me personally. I'm saying I can't watch the NFL with the Manning brothers. You know what I mean? Like I can't.
You want a broadcaster, right?
I want to. Yeah, it drives me nuts. I'm like, I understand their wittiness. I understand they're funny and all the rest of the stuff. I watched it for 30 seconds and I was like, I was having an anxiety attack because I was like, tell me this is not on the other station. You know what I mean? Like, because I can't watch sports that way.
But is that, Ken, do you think that's like a way things are trying to move due to trying to grab another generation of sports fans?
I think it's like anything, guys. When Mark and I grew up, you had 2 channels, right?
Yeah.
And then now we have all these channels. So these alternate feeds, it's an extension of that. So to me, it's good. If Mark, if it's not for you, it's for someone else.
Right.
There's certain things that aren't for me, and I have to realize, they're not for me. They're for someone else. I'm getting up there now. But when I was a kid, I loved Bob Cole and Danny Galvin and Dick Irvin just as much as I loved Wayne Gretzky and Mike McPhee and Guy Lafleur. Right? They were part of my thing. So now that I still get freaked out. Like Bob Cole, we're in the same golf tournament together. We work for the same station, and he knows my name. And I'm like, oh my God, Bob Cole knows. That's cool to me.
It is cool.
What's he doing now? What's Bob?
Bob's retired, back on the rock. St. John's. St. John's. He doesn't say St. John's. St. John's.
St. John.
Yeah. You got to say it right.
Yeah. So I haven't been to the rock since pre-COVID. But if I get out there, I'd love to hang out with him for a pop. But he's the best. He's just the legend.
Oh man, like I just remember being, watching that Saturday night first game, and it was the voice and the voice of the playoffs, and he had a way of bringing you in, and
he was an opera performer, man. Like he would say that it's a show, and we aired that Doug Gilmore, the wraparound goal against
that's right,
Joe. And all he says is Gilmore, and that's all you need. Right?
That was it.
Perfect. This perfect delivery, and it's just then the crowd takes over, and there's certain names that were built for Bob Cole, and I always say to Darcy Tucker, Tux, you have the best Cole name. because Tucker would hit somebody, and it wouldn't
That's
be
true.
like, oh, Tucker hits him. It's just Tucker, you know, Gilmore, Tucker, like just perfect Bob Cole name.
I think that would be the perfect scenario. And I know it sounds weird, but if you're on your deathbed around 90-something years old, listening to the back end of a Bob Cole thing, to just go out just to go out. Like, I'm thank you and good night. 96 years old, in the home, Bob Cole talking, and you just go, okay, I'm good. I'm out.
Listen, I had him record my answer machine, and I screwed it up. But the
no.
guy with me got him to do it too, and it's perfect. It's like, hello, this is Bob Cole. You've reached so and so.
Pre-cameo.
Pre-cameo, exactly.
Wow.
Pre-cameo, yeah. Bob to me is hockey. He is, when I close my eyes, that's what hockey sounds like. And for the generation before me, that's Danny Galvin. For the generation before them, it's Foster Hewitt. These voices to me have always been part of the game. It's like the fight game, right? Howard Cosell is the sound of boxing in the 70s. You know, there's no Muhammad Ali.
No.
Like him and Cosell.
They're synonymous with one another.
Perfect.
Yeah, I absolutely feel, and whoever you grow up with, I find, because I grew up with Bob Cole, so it was Bob Cole, and then, but my kids grew up with Jim Hewson, and they love Jim Hewson, and like that's just, and I love Jim too, but you know, they remember that, and it goes with the memory. It's so incredible how ingrained. I don't know, like how do you like? I guess it came from radio, but when TV came along, because I'm gonna say this, I prefer watching hockey on TV versus live. And that's just me because of the announcers, because of the energy they bring in. And so I always wondered about, you know, is there a place for like a feed of just the straight game, or is there a place where
No, I think a couple places have tried that, and it does, to me, it doesn't work, right? Like, because it's like, guys, I mean, Rocky's an awesome movie, but what's Rocky without the soundtrack?
I know,
right? Without going to fly now,
it's true,
right? So
absolutely.
Bob Cole, you can watch a game, but Bob Cole, he's like the gonna fly now. He's Frank Stallone singing "Pushing, Ready for the Fight," you know, like you need that. You need that.
No,
you do need it. You do need it.
I mean, Reservoir Dogs, we all love Reservoir Dogs. We all love Pulp Fiction, but you love the soundtrack just as much.
Yes,
I do.
Absolutely.
Great announcers are the soundtrack of the game. They go together.
It is absolutely true. It's incredible. Now, what do you think about like the one up, the guy on the ice? Because that started.
I'm cool with it. Yeah, I love it. I mean, my buddy Colby Armstrong. I love Colby. He was between the benches the other night, and I mean, I can't think of a better guy between the benches.
Right.
First off, he's the best room guy in the world. He chirps. He's witty.
Yeah, he does.
And he's between the bench. Yeah, his nose has been broken a lot of times, so the puck isn't going to hurt him anymore. So he's between Carolina and Boston. He's like, "Bud, it's awesome down here, bud," in his Sasky accent. It was just, I love it. I mean, to me, it's just, I want an announcer, and this was the beauty of Bob Cole. Bob Cole didn't say stats when he did the game. He brought you into the game. Yeah. That's what I want from an announcer. And when you're down on that ice level, you're just bringing me into the game more. So I'm all for it.
Yeah. Who wins the cup this year?
Oh, no idea. I mean,
still no inkling.
Still don't have a clue. When people like the parody's crazy. I cannot figure out this Edmonton LA series for the life of me.
Unbelievable.
4-0. Like figure that one out. Can't figure that out. The Flames and Dallas. It's like it's such hard physical hockey. It's almost in an I dare you to score series. The Leaf series just kind of unfolding the way I would. I've said it for years now. If I were to pick a fantasy hockey team at a fantasy draft, I would do exactly what the Leafs did. It's just that's not built for reality. They're not built for the playoffs. They're just not built for playoff hockey. I could be wrong. The series is tied 2-2. It's far from over. Caps in Florida. I can't figure anything out, and that's a great thing. Isn't that awesome?
It's better than it was.
It's like F1. It's like, you know, it's very. It's
they finally figured out
exactly like F1. It's like there's this balance now where we're all sitting here in the first round when usually we know in the first round basically what it's going to come down to. Now you have no clue. There's only one series that looks kind of clear. It's the Colorado one.
I don't want the Oilers playing the Chicago Blackhawks for the Campbell Conference title in 1984. It was third round. You're like, the Oilers are going to win.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. And that's how it was. But I mean, the parody is absolutely brilliant for the sport, obviously. Now, other sports, do you care about other sports, like as a sports broadcaster? Like, honestly though, like how much do you watch other sports?
Like this, like off the record. This is not on the record. This is off the record. Tell the truth.
oh God, you guys know I'm not the biggest soccer guy in the world, but I
No,
like a good soccer story, right?
Yeah.
I'll brag. I covered the 2012 Olympics in London, and I'm not a soccer fan, but how could you not love the Canada soccer story?
Right.
Yeah.
How
of
can
course.
you not love what the Canadian men are doing right now?
Exactly.
So a
Yeah,
good
I
story,
agree.
like this is the beauty of sport, right? And this is when I know people are into it. Great sports and great sports stories transcend that sport. So when my mom calls me and she says, "What do you think about that Canada soccer team?" That's when I know, okay, this is connecting with people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love baseball,
Mm.
love hockey, love golf. Mark will tell you I love the fights. I find the UFC harder to follow now than it used to be.
Oh,
It
yeah.
used to
It-
be,
it
used to
is.
be, and I think it was far more relatable when there was one card a month. It was a pay per view.
I totally agree.
Everybody together. I got together at Mark's house with him once, and we watched. I remember Valimaki trying to eat nachos, and we had a fight coming up. And I was like, easy fix. But I liked fighting when it was easier to follow. But I'll
I
sit
agree.
down and watch a fight when it's on TV. I'm not the biggest NBA guy. People know that.
No, no way, not at all.
No,
Wow.
I wish they'd call traveling. I don't get it. And I
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about that all the
Yeah.
time on
That's
TV
true.
anymore. I don't
It's true.
understand traveling.
It's true.
But yeah, my top sports, if you were to say what are your two favorite sports? For me, it's baseball, hockey. But you can throw any good story in there, I'll watch.
You ever bump into Joe Siddle?
Siddle, yeah, see him all the time. He's
Well, you know
brilliant
why?
guy.
There's a click here. His locker and my locker in high school were right next door to each other.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Down
of
in
course.
Windsor.
Down in Windsor, we went to Assumption High School.
Okay.
I played football. I was defensive tackle. He was
Was he your
the-
quarterback?
He was the quarterback. Went
Yeah.
to Central Michigan,
Yeah.
and his locker was next to my locker.
Okay, now if you were to typecast Joe Siddle as the handsome high school quarterback, he fits it to a T, doesn't he?
Oh,
he's like
he was like when I was in high school, I was mega popular because I was just fun with everybody. I was in the smoking section with the hippies. I was a jock playing football. I had it all covered. So when we had the pep rally and my name got called, everybody applauded.
Yeah.
When Joe came down, all the girls and everybody applauded, but all the stoners booed him.
Yeah.
See, but all the stoners were cheering for me, right? But
Yeah.
Joe was mega talented in multiple sports. Like I wasn't an athlete. I got there because of my stubborn brain and I could play the position and whatever.
Mhm.
But he was a real athlete. I mean, like we were, our lockers were right next door to each other, and this guy would have like baseball bats in his locker. He played football, he played everything, and he was good at all of it.
Now he had the choice of football or baseball, right? And chose baseball.
I believe so.
Wow.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think Joe's one of those guys that if you threw him a tennis racket, he'd be able to play tennis. He's one
He
of
would
those
figure
guys.
it out. He'd figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like everyone says this, but he's the nicest guy. And just his transition to broadcasting. I know he started on the radio with Jerry, and it was just smooth. And then we throw him on TV, and it's just smooth, and it's just
But he knows baseball.
some can, some can't.
Right.
Joe can.
Yeah, that's true. And he knows baseball, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can tell he knows baseball.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
there's guys that get on there sometimes you're like, it's shaky, right?
You know, the last cool Joe story, the last game he ever caught was a no-hitter or a perfect game or no-hitter for
Really?
Pawtucket AAA. It
Oh,
was like
okay, yeah, yeah.
July. He
Okay.
caught it and he was like, yep, that's cool. I'm done. He walked away after I think he had no-hitter.
Yeah.
Perfect,
Well, what
no-hitter,
better? I
perfect
mean,
game.
that's how you walk out.
One for two. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
you-
like mic drop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Perfect game. I'm out.
Yeah, exactly.
What about the
Yeah.
Jays this year?
Uber talented. Got to figure out a way to get the bats going. A little surprised by how
Yeah, me
quiet
too.
the bats are lately.
Fun to watch,
However,
though. Fun to watch.
Oh, blast
to
to
watch.
watch, Mark.
Fun.
But
Fun.
really tough schedule to start, so they made it through all right.
Mhm.
Long season. Would like this. Like I'm old school, right? I want my starting pitcher to
Yes.
go at least 7. I
Yes.
hate this get to the bullpen
Me too.
stuff. Like,
After 4, yeah, it's
yeah, give me Dave Rogers. Give me Dave Steve. Give me Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Give me a workhorse.
Yeah.
Although that's not the way baseball is anymore. Thanks, analytics
Oh.
geeks. Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks, nerd.
yeah.
For us. But yeah, they're gonna bang. They're gonna crush hits. They're gonna crush balls. They're gonna hit a lot, and they're gonna be a blast to watch this summer. And
But he's
judging
always-
by,
It's
hate
always
to sound
pitching.
like Ron Burgundy, but judging by the ratings, lots of people are interested because they're getting
Yes.
good numbers.
Right.
Yeah, they are.
Getting better numbers. I mean, again, like now the wraps are out too, so I mean, it definitely helps those numbers again. But again, it comes down to pitching always for me too. So I
Absolutely.
hope that they can.
Absolutely.
It always seems like we have
And-
like like it seems like the potential's there. Like we have this
Oh, this is
team.
they're built to win this year.
Yeah.
This isn't
No.
like this isn't like a maybe year or a hope for year. They are supposed to win this year, the next year. It's built to win now, which as a fan you want to see. I mean, you guys know you can sell hope, but eventually it's like, okay, let's step up. Let's do something. So they're built for this year, but as you guys know, you got to stay healthy. So Hernandez came back. He had that injury.
Is Toronto the city of hope? Meaning, meaning like I'm gonna say this on the show today because
you didn't even hesitate.
I know, because I loathe. I mean, I despise the Toronto Maple Leafs with all my heart. Like, there's nobody in the world that despises them as much as I do. In fact, there's actually a Pavlich curse, and it's a fact. 1967, my father was on the ice as an official when they won the Stanley Cup. I was born the same year. When I was 3 years old, I said to my dad, this, because I'm a Red Wing. My Uncle Marty won 4 Stanley Cups. And I said, Dad, why do you officiate Toronto games? I can't stand them. And he said, I don't have a choice, son. This is my job, and I have to officiate any game they tell me to. I said, I hate the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I said, Dad, they're never going to win the Stanley Cup again. And he said, son, he told me the story. Like, I was on the ice. You were born the same year. And as long as me and you are alive, they're never going to win the cup. My dad is 88 years old, healthy. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. I just
don't tell anybody his address.
No addresses to the Toronto fans. And I put one little thing on Twitter, like I get a kick out of them losing. Okay, and I don't want.
People do.
I don't want anybody to. I don't want anybody's like to cheer their misfortune except the Leafs. And it's easy because Leaf fans are the same level as like Dallas Cowboy fans, right? Like you put those two together, they're the delusion of the two together. It is mind-boggling to watch. Like there's no reasoning. And Jesse, you know who's a distant like third? Edmonton Oilers fans.
Yeah.
Edmonton Oilers fans. The same thing here. That you can't say one thing or another to these guys here. That they don't think of anything. Oh, we don't need defensemen. We don't need a goalie. No, we're going forward. We're going forward.
Yeah.
They don't see the mistakes. And same with Toronto. Like you said, they're not built for playoff hockey. We all knew that. They know that, but they didn't do anything to fix that.
They are so talented, but just not built for the playoffs. Just like, I mean, if I was doing a fantasy draft at the start of the year, and you guys can look back at podcasts I've done for the last 2 years, I've said the same stuff. I've said it on the air on Tim and Friends. I've said it on our show on Sportsnet Central. They're just not built for playoffs. They're not tough. They're not hard. They don't play heavy. But Pab, I think honestly, you're not alone. I think the Leafs are like good talk radio back in the day. People listen whether they love them or hate them. They just they'd love to cheer for them, and some people love to see them lose. And I mean, growing up as a kid, I was a big Montreal fan. And the Leafs would make it easy for you to go, what? Like when they made the semifinals in '93, they released a VHS video of it.
Yeah.
I mean, what if they win a round this year, they'll release what, an NFT of it?
Guaranteed. There'll be a Bitcoin named after them. You know what I mean, man?
Exactly.
It's bananas, man.
But that's also the power of the brand.
It is
of the Maple Leafs.
You're right, and it's the power of the Cowboys. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but the Cowboys at least won. I don't know, in the late '80s and the '90s.
Yes, true.
They at least won in the '90s.
True.
But the Leaf thing, having lived in Toronto now for the last 12 years, I still say the media in Edmonton is tougher on the Oilers than Toronto media is on the Leafs.
Oh yeah,
really?
And they're soft here too, though. Because there's kind of a precursor here. Like in Edmonton, you might remember, but if you're a reporter here and you say just a little bit too much against the Oilers, for some strange reason, they have a way of banning people from dressing rooms. And I think to myself,
really?
as a professional sports organization, you shouldn't have the right to do that. Like,
that doesn't happen. I can't recall that happened in Edmonton. I was there. I know it doesn't happen in Toronto because there's a lot of guys who say ill that go in that room, and that is the way it is. But I just think that, this is the city of hope. When it comes to the Maple Leafs, and hope sells clearly.
Clearly.
But it's, I mean, as being as objective as I can, I'm just like, no, this This isn't going to happen. Like you can't be dodging checks in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Exactly.
Take the hit. Like if you're down by a goal, you got to keep going.
That's what like my question is with the Oilers too, though. It is that question. I mean, they do have a little bit more grit with Cassian and guys like that, but
not the next round. They don't. Like if they get through this round, that's the problem.
Well,
like you were saying earlier, Ken.
I mean,
they should get through this round.
Yeah, they need to.
Yeah.
They actually
Oilers need to.
They have to. Yeah.
Leafs and Oilers need to. Like
both
of them have to get to the next round.
People must have hated that.
This is my prediction. Okay, if the Leafs lose this series, I'm not saying they're going to, or they are, or they're not. If they do, mark my words, huge story by this time next week. The playoffs have to be restructured. It has to be by conference, or it has to be by league. There's no way the Leafs, in their great season, their greatest season of all time, should have ended up playing Tampa Bay in the first round. That will be the story in Toronto.
You're right.
And it'll go for a while too. It'll
go for a while.
Yeah.
And that'll pick up heat. You watch.
I was gonna say that's a horrible draw. That's a bad draw.
That is a bad draw. But I agree. It's the NHL. You're gonna play them anyway. So if you're gonna win the Stanley Cup, you should beat them.
Right on.
Yeah.
Oilers used to get the Flames every year.
Yeah, and they're gonna get each other again if they both win.
Year. And then they'd walk over Chicago or Minnesota.
Yeah.
Or
that's right.
Really,
so too bad.
I mean, a lot of people want the Flames Oilers again, and it could happen if they both win the series, obviously.
But it's going to be violent, and whoever ends up out of the back end of that usually so beat up they won't win the next round.
Yeah,
because they'll kill each other.
Yeah, it would be fun. I want it, man. I want an old school hockey battle. I refuse to call Edmonton and Calgary the Battle of Alberta because it's not. Mark, we remember the Battle of Alberta. It hasn't happened in 30 years.
No, it's true. It was different.
Yeah.
But it'll be on if they meet. But Edmonton should get through this series. You know, you drop that game 4-0. You give the old Jonathan Quick the salute. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, goalies are going to steal a game every once in a while.
And he basically played great in game 1 too. So Oilers outplayed him, and he played great. So that's
ideally, the best team's supposed to win in 7. Most of the time they do, but if they get their power play going, they should win. They should win. But Quick's going to steal a game now and then. And when you look back on game 1 too, they should have won that one if not for the weird play by Smith at the end. But
that's right.
Give him credit.
Give it away.
Give him credit. He moved on from that.
Well, I've been saying he's the only real leader in that dressing room now. Like he is the leader. I don't see McDavid doing it.
I'm not in that room, obviously, but when I look at Darnell Nurse, if he told me to do something, I'd do it. And if I saw him do something, I'd do it. Same with Cassian. If I see Cassian do something and I'm on that team, it's like, to me, the best leader in the game is Crosby. And if I'm on Pittsburgh and I see Sidney Crosby block a shot, I'm blocking a shot.
Yes.
He doesn't have to tell me to block it, but if that guy's doing it,
And that's what I say. That's always been my knock with McDavid. I always compare it to Crosby. Like, which would you rather have? And yes, absolutely, McDavid is a generational talent. He's unreal. But when it goes to winning championships, who would you rather have, Crosby or him? And right now, you have to pick Crosby.
Definitely have Crosby. But as we both know, in hockey, most guys have to have that first couple rough years in the playoffs. I mean, Crosby did. He lost to Detroit in his first Cup final. So Steve Yzerman, Gretzky, everybody, how much the Oilers learned from playing the Islanders those couple of years. Every young hockey player, it seems, has to have this apprenticeship where they go, oh, that's kind of what I have to do. So hopefully for Edmonton's sake, at least it'll work.
Right.
If you could have coffee with any 3 historic sports people in your life, I don't care what sport,
alive or dead, or both,
alive or dead. This always tells me about people, right? Okay. You could sit down and have coffee.
He's
with them.
He's judging you based on these next 3 picks.
I am. 3. It has to be 3, right? You're not going to have coffee with not just one person, 3 people in the
Muhammad Ali is going to be there.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I think Jackie Robinson's going to be there.
Wow.
And just because he's Wayne's going to be there. So me, Gretz, Jackie Robinson, and Muhammad Ali.
Fantastic.
Sit down.
That's an easy A+.
Yeah. We'll have coffee together, and ideally after the coffee, we might go down the street to the Legion for a couple wobbly pops.
That's
That's good too.
Yeah, those are my three. But I'll tell you what, Pav, if you ask me tomorrow, it might change, right?
yeah, and it would.
Right. I'm one of those guys. What's your favorite band? I'm like, I don't know. Ask me what minute it is. It'll change.
Right.
No, but okay, but not your favorite band. But if you were in a band and I put you as the lead singer, who would be your three? Who would be your three people in your band with you? Who would play the drums? Who would play the lead guitar? And who would play the bass? And you're the lead singer.
See, this is tough because I'm
That's easy.
throwing away the front men here. Like
No,
I
but
can't
you-
have Axel.
no.
I can't have Lemmy.
No, you are the front man.
Okay. So
It's your fantasy.
can't have Miles Goodwin from April Wine. Like so on drums.
Drums.
On drums, I want Jerry Mercer from April Wine. 'Cause he comes
Okay.
with the Thunders.
Wow. I've seen him a few times.
On bass, let's actually turn his volume up and give him some bass because no. Let's get Cliff Burton on bass from
Wow.
Metallica from the early days.
Wow.
And lead guitar, who do I want on lead guitar? Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
interesting.
So we got some CanCon in there with Jerry and I, and we got Cliff.
So you can get
And
radio
we got-
play here if you're not going to get it anywhere
Yeah.
else.
Hey, we're 50% Canadian.
Yeah.
We only need hit 30%.
Yeah.
They're playing me. Yeah, exactly.
That's great. What's it like? Do you ever get like the days when you have to just go in and read the script? Like when you're going in so long and so much, week
Yeah.
after week, day after day, week after week.
Yeah.
Do you get lost in that? How do you fight the?
It's not boring. Some nights are long, so you gotta pep yourself up, have a coffee. It's funny, I'll do the 10 o'clock show and then I'll wait around and like tonight, for instance, if let's say the game goes to overtime, the late game, you got to sit and wait.
Yeah.
I'm always into the games watching that. You might be tired, but when the light comes on, you get that rush of adrenaline, and you just go. But no, I love what I do. I love coming in and blast. I'm so lucky. You get a buzz, man. You get a total buzz from it, total high from it. I think if you don't, you're in the wrong business.
Right.
And seriously, like when this is over, I get to go in, turn the games on and watch the games, and then when they're over, instead of going on the internet and voicing my opinion to no one, I get to scream into a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good gig.
How much do you write yourself?
Well, this is the funny thing. So when I used to do local news, you do it all. So here we have a highlight zone. So guys are putting the highlights together for me. But when you see me pop up on camera and I'm reading with like a picture of Wayne Gretzky over my shoulder, I've written that. And when you see us on a 2-shot, we're just ad-libbing. So it's a lot of ad-libbing. And when the highlights are written for me, Mark can tell you, I've worked with him. I'm kind of going off script and doing whatever the hell I want within the realm of, getting to the final score and things like that.
Well, that's the one thing. And now you said you worked with Ivanka for so long. Is that that chemistry that you build on air?
Yeah.
You know what to riff off each other now, don't you?
Totally. I mean, we're like dance partners. Like, you know how to dance. And it's kind of like, if you go to see, I don't know. You go to see Barry Manilow in Vegas, his drummer knows when to start heavy and his guitar knows when to come in. Like we kind of got her going that way. Yeah. And, we enjoy each other's company. Her husband and me are buddies, my wife and her buddies.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it works. So what you see is what you get. Like I make fun of her all the time. She makes fun of me all the time. So it is what it is.
It's good ribbing. It's good ribbing back and forth, though, right?
Yeah.
It is. I enjoy it. Like
Thanks,
I
man.
said, she's legit, right? Like
She's totally legit. She's
legit.
way smarter than I am, but has she's an engineer. Like she does stuff in academics that I couldn't dream of, but she's seen 20 movies in her life. So my pop culture references, she has no idea what I'm talking
Really?
about. Boys, she has not seen, I'm going to put this out here. She has not seen Shawshank Redemption.
you're joking.
I am not joking.
As Mark would say, in the words of Mark Pavlich, that's a sin.
That's a sin. That's a sin. That's an 11th sin.
And Slapshot are the two greatest movies of all time. She hasn't seen Slapshot either.
Oh man.
And I'm like,
I struggle
but now,
with that.
but now she's doing it to bug me.
Yeah.
And then now it's out of spite. Now, It's
I
just
have a hard time with that. Like when I relate
I have
to
a real
people,
hard time with
like when people make it's so funny when I watch a movie and people are making like movie references or whatever the case or television and a movie reference. I get every one. Like there's not one movie reference. I like this. Like Jesse and I could talk for like
We could have a movie podcast on the
if
side.
we were on a plane together and they said, "Oh, you have a layover for 4 hours," we'd be like, "Okay, let's grab a coffee and we could talk about movies for 4 hours."
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
When Warren Fogle scores for the Oilers, I go, McLovin, best player from Hawaii ever. And Ivanka's like, what are you talking about?
No clue.
I'm like, Superbad. You've not seen Superbad. No, I took her to Borat. She didn't think Borat was funny. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're different like that. And then
But that's kind of what works, though.
It works. It
Yeah,
works.
that would work. Yeah, that would work. Because she's generally doesn't watch movies. So that's kind of weird, but at the same time, as for your shtick together, I could see how that could work.
She's the city girl. I'm the country boy. It works.
Yeah,
it totally works. Yeah,
it does.
But seriously, I say to her, look, you have a 4-hour flight. You're going to Vancouver.
Perfect.
Watch a movie.
Yeah.
We actually this is going back a few years. We put it on one of those video sticks.
Yeah.
We're like, please watch Shawshank, and now she just won't do it. She just won't do it. I'm like, that's the best movie ever, boys. You guys know that.
Oh, it is. It's incredible.
Oh, it's top 3-4 of all time.
Yeah, her favorite movie of all time is Legally Blonde. I'm like,
yeah. Bro, that's a foul ball right there. That's a foul ball.
Yeah, that's when you call the workplace hotline for a problem. I've got a problem with COVID.
I feel like you guys have talked about this on air. Am I wrong?
Oh, on air. Yeah.
I wanted to say I remembered you bringing up Shawshank Redemption on air.
All the time.
But you gotta. It's so funny because you see that with people. You bump into people all the time that don't like music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I can I listen to music obsessively, even to this day. And I'm hiking with my wife this morning, and I have a beautiful classic rock playlist playing, and my wife looks at me and says, does it really need to be this loud? And I said, and I just look at my wife of 36 years and I tell her, honey, you still don't understand. Like this is not to be played like super low. You know, this isn't, it's not loud, like disturbing the people, right? It's just loud enough that you're hearing the music. And I still have this with 10-kilometer hike and I want to listen to a classic rock thing. And she's telling me it's too loud.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of music though. Like I ate dinner tonight, got ready, did the dishes, and cranked up I'm Your Pusher by Ice-T as I did the dishes with my wife going, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm your mama. Ice-T, my man, you're all right. And I'm like, who else listened? The other night on the work, I made a Positive K reference. You got to, I'm not trying to hear that. See, the focus like, what? I'm like, Positive K. But yeah, I'm tunes all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Absolutely. I'll tell you what, when I need to work and write and go through emails and stuff, I'll go down these holes. Albert Collins, this old blues guy, the master of the Stratocaster, whatever he calls it. It's just like there's so much great music out there that we don't know about. And so if you like classic rock, Mark, I'm going to give you a band. I stumbled upon them in Cleveland a few years ago. And my brother and I were sitting there in a bar and we're like, hey, I want to go listen to the band. And we're thinking they're going to play, like cover songs and things like that. And they start playing, and my brother and I, after a couple songs, like, these guys are awesome. You'd swear they were out of the 70s. They're called the Black Moods. They're from Arizona. The Black Moods.
Okay,
dude, it's like you're listening to April Wine in 1977.
Well,
it's awesome.
here's a flashback for you. I saw a concert in Shediac, New Brunswick, in a corn patch. And I met the concert promoter when I had my entertainment business when I was a kid, and his name was Donald K. Donald. He was a big concert promoter.
I heard of Donald K. Donald. He was a promoter in the Maritimes.
So he said, Mark, do you want to come and see this concert? And I said, hey, can I bring my friends with me? They said, no problem. I'm going to give you backstage passes. And if you want, Mark, you can sit right on the stage, And I said, oh, like small concert, in Shediac, New Brunswick. I show up. There's 60,000 people in a corn patch.
Harley Beach.
Correct.
Harley Beach down there, yeah.
And we got Def Leppard, we got Meatloaf, we got April Wine, Svengali, and I'm sitting on the stage drinking a Labatt 50, okay, I'm taking it on a lawn chair, and the Donald K. Donald guy says, Mark, are these seats any good for you? And I'm not joking, I could literally flick my gum at the lead singer of Def Leppard.
Wow.
And he's like, it was an incredible concert, and literally Corn Patch in Shediac, New Brunswick.
Let me ask this question.
Same site, I saw Brian Adams with Steve Miller Band, Extreme, Sash Jordan, and Sloan. So there you go.
Oh, yeah.
I know the exact place you're talking about.
Did Meatloaf collapse during that concert?
The truth. And what happened? I saved him. So Meatloaf
he did collapse. Of course he collapsed. It was Meatloaf. He collapsed in every show.
Meatloaf's on stage, collapsed. It's literally has a heat stroke on stage. He collapses.
Yeah, those concerts were the middle of the summer.
It was crazy. It was, and that's like, people don't understand in Alberta what humidity is. And I'm talking, this is out east humidity. Like, forget your hairspray, forget everything. You're literally looking like the Beatles. Your hair, and he falls down on the ground, and I run over with water, and I start throwing it on this guy. At that time, didn't even know who Meatloaf was, and he gets on there, and I help. I'm trying to help this loader up, and he's a giant. Like I'm trying to pick Meatloaf up, and I'm yelling at my friends like, "Hey!" And the security came. His daughter came, and his daughter was a beautiful girl. She's like, "Oh, I can't thank you enough for helping my father." And I'm like, this is Meatloaf. He went back on stage and sang "Bat Out of Hell," true story. And there was literally 60,000 pizza boxes being thrown in the air in Shediac, New Brunswick. It was the craziest thing I ever seen. And I'm telling you, the people of the Maritimes, we don't ever say it on the show, but they need more love because of the salt of the earth. They're great people. I had the best time there. When I had my entertainment business, it saved it back in the day when I was a kid. I went back there multiple times. They were fantastic people. I seen it all. I even went tuna fishing and thought I needed a fishing pole. That's to show you how city folk I am. And I show up with my fishing pole, and they're like, they all started laughing at me. And this was right in Shelburne, Nova Scotia. Nice. Right out the back end there. And the guy says, "Mark, you don't use a fishing rod to fish tuna. We zap them with a pole, and we electrocute them." And when I saw tuna, I said, "Jesus, how do you get this damn thing in the can? Like the thing was 1,000 pounds." You know what I mean? So that's a true story too. But it really was. I just had the best time in the Maritimes. I had the best meals and met the best people.
That's awesome. Yeah, they had that concert series there for years. That was the place to go, Shediac, Parley Beach.
Yeah.
And he would bring in everybody every year. But that's prime. I mean, Def Leppard, Meatloaf, that's prime.
It was not. And April Wine, and I was sitting with April Wine on the stage, and this Donald guy invited me to the concert, and I got shit-faced with him the night before in the bar we were in. And he's like, "How come you can drink so much?" And I said, I'm Croatian. That's my nationality. It's part of our culture. We started at 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're probably also 24 at the time or something like that.
Yeah, but it's just like smashing drinks with the guy. And he for some reason, he just got hammered. But he's like, "Hey, you got to come to this concert. I'll make sure you get these great tickets." And it's a true story. But I just had great times in the Maritimes. And I tell people all the time, if you want to not go vacation to Mexico, or you're worried about COVID times or whatever, and you want to stay in the country, you've been to BC, Vancouver a million times, Toronto City stuff, get out to the Maritimes. Go check it out. If you live in Canada and have not checked out the Maritimes,
absolutely,
you are missing out.
And get off the path. Go to a place like Shelburne. Right?
Yeah,
don't just
definitely.
sit in Halifax and look at Citadel Hill,
Correct.
Nice as it is.
Yes. Yeah.
So Cabot here in Inverness, we took a bunch of guys down there, and from work, clients and stuff, and we're at the course. It's awesome, and I go, "You guys want to go off the path, see the real Nova Scotia?" They're like, "Yeah." I took 12 guys to the Legion. We had a blast in Inverness. It was awesome. And like you said, people they're just fun. And Newfoundland's the same way, man. Newfoundland, nicest people. But yeah, we got a great country, and it's funny, people do go on vacation. They go all over the world, as you should. But you should also take the time to just kind of see what's going on. That's actually one of the things I've been lucky about at work is I got to work in Calgary, Edmonton, Halifax, Ottawa. I got sent to Yellowknife for Hockey Day, Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada once. I'm like, when am I going to get a chance to go to Yellowknife? Just awesome people up there, and got to go to Newfoundland a bunch of times, and just.
Where's your favorite place? Where in Canada? Where has it been?
St. John's, man.
It is.
I just loved it. It was just such a cool spot. And Yellowknife was really cool too. Just because literally I can see when I would talk about if I were to talk about St. John's, or I were to talk about Yellowknife, I can literally say I've never been anywhere else like it. So that's what makes it stands out. Like, you don't go outside of town and it's like chain this, chain that, chain this, chain that, and like this is different. So yeah, it was both, and and you guys know the people make the places, right?
Right, absolutely.
But everywhere you go in Canada, people are pretty nice.
No, but did you notice the perspective was different in those places? Because I've been to Yellowknife and I've been to all these places, and they didn't want to talk about their watch. They didn't want to talk about They didn't want. I'm telling it like it is. As I get older, I really realized how important that is. When I was younger, it's different, but then as you get older, like, you know, if you get in a bar in Toronto or you get in a place in Toronto, everybody wants to flex and show you how big their pecker is and tell you, like, look at my watch and look at my shoes and look at my car and look at my house. And I was in those places, and that wasn't the topic of conversation.
No, I'll tell you right now, my favorite place to have a beer is in some dude's shed. Like, just sit back and be real. But you're right, Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just nobody's. Yeah, you're just.
I'm
from a small town where, you know, Dad's a town doctor and he plays on the same hockey team as the guy that works at the service station. The guy who works at Michelin and the fisherman. That's kind of where I'm from, and I love those small places because everybody's just together.
Yeah.
Watch it. The Lighthouse Museum. I was there.
The Lighthouse Museum.
The
Lighthouse?
The Lighthouse. I went to it.
Because there's a place in Halifax that used to be called the Lighthouse.
No, I went to the one in Pictou. There was like a Lighthouse Museum or something. I don't know if you remember.
You were in Pictou? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you go check. And I went on. I was goofy like that. Like, I like to go to see, like, what's the site in the city.
Our lighthouse burned down.
Yeah,
that was a big thing. It was out on the sandbar.
I was there back in, like, I'm talking like.
How does it burn in the middle of a sandbar?
A kid lit it on fire. Nothing else to do, I guess.
Oh, jeez.
Of course, misspent youth. You know.
Okay, how'd you meet Mark, and what did you do with Mark?
Fighting. Not that we fought each other, but Mark was running MFC, and I loved my MMA. And
you were in Edmonton at the time?
Yeah, I was covering events and covering press conferences, going to fights. The next thing I know, I'm helping announce his fights. And I remember you going, hey, I want you to wear that pinstripe suit you have with the white tie. And I think I was wearing that one night, and I was doing the commentary, and guy got punched in front of me, and I feel, and I'm like, blood all over my face, all over the tie. But we wiped it up fast. So, yeah, those were some great scraps, man. At the River Cree?
Yeah, River Cree. Yeah.
So you did commentary for those?
Yes. But like MFC 10 to 15 range.
Yeah, and after that is when we signed the deal with Mark Cuban, and we went on. You know, like, it got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right, I was in Toronto at that point.
That's right. Yeah.
But man, there were some great fights. I remember Patrick fighting Jason one night. It was
oh my god,
just so skilled, both of them.
But so intense. Like, that fight, I tell everybody to this day, like, out of all the fights I've ever had, Jason McDonald against Patrick Cote, and I've had way bigger fights on the show, like famous people on the MFC. There was something about those two, because either one that won that day was going to the UFC, and that was back in the day, and it was a 5-round. Basically, it was like there was 4,500 people in the Shaw Conference Center.
Yeah, okay? And they were both so skilled and respectful of each other. It was a sport. I'm with, and it's funny that is the fight that immediately pops off my head when I think of MFC. Yeah, but that's why, buddy. That was a great fight.
And I just remember the crowd, because the next day they wrote about the fight, but they said in the newspaper the next day, I never forgot this. I said to my wife, "Tell me you cut that out somewhere." It said the MFC had the sexiest audience in sports, and I was like, oh, I'm going to put that on a bumper sticker, right?
Yeah.
Because I was like, because people used to come to our show, like, the girls look good, the guys look good, everybody
did in Vegas.
Yeah, like, it was a very Vegas vibe. And Jason McDonald's friends, for some reason, were all good looking. The girls were good looking, the guys were good looking, and everybody drove down to watch.
Athlete for a reason.
Yeah, correct. And they all came down, and it was just like craziness. And Patrick Cote's been on this show. Jason McDonald's been on this show, and they both talked about that fight like it was yesterday. And I was like, yeah.
And I just remember them on the mat, just going at it, like trying different holds on each other, and they were both so respectful of each other. And Patrick is just and to then see them go on and have success in UFC.
Yeah. That's right. They both did.
Yeah.
They both did.
And people always ask me who I cheer for. I cheer for people, and those are two guys I always cheer for.
Me too.
You know, how can you not cheer for two guys like that?
I remember we were going up the stairs at the Shaw Conference Center after the fight was over. Jason was going up. He lost the fight in the 5th round, and we were going up the stairs, and he dropped, and he went into tears, you know. And I picked him up off the ground, and I said to him, I said, Jason, no matter what happens, you're going to end up in the UFC, because the way you fought today, you might have lost the fight, but there's something. You were in a real fight against a real fighter.
That was a no one loses fight.
Correct. And Patrick Cote was the guy. Patrick Cote's the guy that if there was a street fight, you'd rather have him in your corner than George St. Pierre, because Patrick Cote is a fighter. Like, it didn't matter if it was in a cage, a ring, or a street. Patrick Cote would kick your ass. And it was funny when I had that talk with Jason that night, and I said, and then he ended up having a great UFC career after that, Jason. But he was just devastated for losing that fight. And I used to tell people, I cried in my life 3 or 4 times when my children were born, when I married my wife, 1 tear went down my eye. And I said, when Jason McDonald kicked the shit out of Joe Dorkson in the UFC, I had a tear go right down my eye right here.
I'm going off just whatever this is. Was it Ed Smooth Herman, his first fight in the UFC?
You know what? And I don't know if you remember, Kevin, I trained and managed Jason, right?
So, I remember you in the corner, dude. I was watching it in my condo in Edmonton, freaking out when he won that fight.
And we fought Ed Herman, and we were in the back. And
did he guillotine him?
He triangle choked him.
Yeah.
And I said to him in the back, I said, you know what? They're bringing you here to be the patsy. I said, Jason, can you believe you've had 30 fights? They have no respect for you. I've convinced him of this in his mind. I said, you're his stepping stone. And sure as shit, Jason chokes him out. He gets on the microphone and he says to Joe Rogan, I'm nobody's stepping stone. You understand? And that's stuck forever with him, man.
See, he's the pride of Pictou County, Jason the athlete McDonald.
Yeah, he's from that
carrying his water. Yeah, he went to East Pictou High School. Yeah.
That's right. He did. He did. And now he's in Red Deer. You ever come back to Edmonton?
First and only time I ever returned, twice. Grey Cup 2010, 11, I want to say.
Wow.
I worked for TSN. And another thing, I came back for a speaking engagement really quickly. It's like you say, Mark, it's one of those things in Canada. You just don't zip across. You go other places.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to get out to the new arena. I've heard it's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's all right. Well, it's all right. Yeah. Jesse's a Calgary.
It's not as good as the old one?
No, it's nicer.
It's better than that one.
Yeah.
They just made some mistakes that nobody really publicly says.
Well, Jesse's a Calgary Flame.
Well,
Jesse's a Calgary Flames fan.
Some of the ring, you still have to lean forward. You still have to go like this to see down in the corner and
Hey man, pay for the whole seat. You only need the edge, right?
Yeah,
That's marketing.
No, jeez. But anyway, before we let go, are you working on another book?
I actually am. Yeah, God, I just signed a deal. This is your guys' exclusive.
Give it to us. Give us a 411 on that.
Don't have a title yet, but it's coming out hopefully fall 2023. And what it is, guys, is I grew up, as we've talked about, in a small town. I grew up 12 to 15-hour drive from Montreal, which was the nearest NHL.
Mm-hmm.
This was back in the day that only Bob Cole was on once a week on Hockey Night in Canada. So my NHL was the local junior team in my arena. They played Junior C. So these guys were kind of my hockey heroes. And the head guy was named Dana Johnson. So he was kind of my hockey idol growing up, and kind of the idol of the whole town. So the book is on, local legends, like how back in the day, who we saw in front of us, they were our Guy Lafleur, they were our Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
And I kind of put it out there on Twitter, who was your local hometown hero, and I got tons of responses. There's a ton of responses from Newfoundland because they had a great senior hockey league there.
Wow.
And a lot of these stories are taking me down roads I never envisioned. I did a great story on a guy, Cowboy McTeer, who played for the Kimberley Dynamiters and was drafted by Chicago and ended up being this legend in Kimberley. So those kind of stories. And it's
you go around and interview these guys and talk to people about them.
Thank God for the telephone. A lot of them are deceased.
Okay.
The one guy, I completed 2 stories so far. One was on a guy named Bruce Campbell from New Waterford, Nova Scotia, junior star, senior star. Maybe took a couple places where it didn't end up in the best professional advice, ended up a senior star in Newfoundland, then back home in New Waterford. Just a wonderful guy. Ended up coaching a major junior team in Cape Breton. Just all kinds of really cool stories, but a lot of work because as you guys can imagine, there's not a lot of hockey DB on these guys.
Yeah.
So I'm calling a lot of local libraries going, do you have a story from March of 1971? And they go through the microfilm and then I call somebody and I listen. And I do exactly what you guys are doing.
But you're a bestseller now.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. I don't have my jacket on with my shoulder patches. But honestly, when people
they
say
don't give you one like the Masters, they don't.
They
don't.
They
should.
They should have something for best-selling author. You don't even get a medal or a trophy.
Well, because then people would know, right? Because you could be at a pub or something, you'd have your best-selling author jacket on, and then you don't have to say nothing, and you're standing there, and people would just buy you drinks because he's a best-selling author.
Exactly. I could walk into Starbucks, look at all the people on their laptops, and I could say, "Working on your book, are you?" Right? Stuff like that. But yeah, I guess I could say that, but I try not to go around bragging about it. But if you're bringing it up, Pat,
I am. Yeah. That's my job. My job is to
buddy.
And I think more than once too, right? So multiple bestsellers.
Multiple times.
2 times.
Multiple. More than 2 even.
More than 2.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
We're talking multiple.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So this next book, I'm excited about. It's with Simon & Schuster. So they've got a great track record. They're a fantastic publisher. So I'm excited. My only question today, I was picking one of my sons up from school, and I worked till 3:30 last night. I got home. Tonight I'll probably be home around 3:30, and I kept thinking, when am I going to write this book? Because I don't like writing in the summer because it's Canada. I want to get out and golf. So the fall will be a grind. For sure.
Wow, that's cool though.
And do you have a due date? Is there a due date? Is there a due date?
Yeah, I have to have it in by January.
Okay.
So, and if any of your viewers, listeners have a hometown hockey hero they grew up with that they'd like the world to know about, DM me or tweet at me at SNKenReid, or you guys can
definitely
chuck her out there.
We will. 100%.
Yeah, I talked to a friend of mine, guy I know the other day. He goes, "You want a story?" And he told me this incredible story of a man named Oscar Gaudette from Moncton. And man, oh man, I did 3 interviews for it, including Oscar, who's now 80, who still plays. This guy was the man in the old Nova Scotia Senior League. Moncton played in it. He was the scoring winner, and guys who played in the NHL eventually finished beneath him. He goes and gets buried in Chicago's system. I ended up talking to Dennis Hall, and Dennis said, is on the record as saying 2 biggest mistakes the Chicago Blackhawks ever made were trading Phil Esposito and not calling up Oscar Gaudette.
Really?
And so this guy finishes up 6 years in Dallas' system, just doesn't get called up. You guys know what it's like. The other guys keep getting called up. Goes back home, works for Labatt's, wins 2 national senior championships in Quebec, or in New Brunswick, in his hometown, still plays. And Mark Palvich, to bring it full circle for you, grows up outside of Shettycamp in Maramacook, New Brunswick, with the Cormier brothers, a.k.a. wrestling stars Leo Burke and the Beast and Rudy Kay. So
wow. Yeah.
I'm
telling you, there's a lot of hockey stories out of Windsor, Ontario. I'm giving Windsor a plug today. I grew up there. But there's a lot of great stories in that city. And I want people that watch the show today and on Twitter, I want you to tweet at Ken Reid and make sure he finds out about it, because I know many. And I know some off the record.
The hook is they can't play in the NHL. They didn't make it. So
right.
Tim McAuliffe's,
that's right.
Tim McAuliffe's dad won an Allen Cup with Windsor back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah. I watched in Windsor, Ontario, was the greatest place in the world to grow up as a kid. And I grew up, listen to this one. Bobby Probert was at a bush party with me one night, and I watched him kick the shit out of the toughest guy in my high school. And I Sean Egan, that was his name.
Yeah.
Sean, if you're around, I'm sorry, but this is a true story. I was there. Bobby Probert was wearing a lumber jacket and was smoking a DeMaurier king size. And I said to Sean, don't fight him. I promise, please don't fight him. Sean's like, I'm going to kick this guy's ass. I'm like, you're not going to kick his ass. And I watched Bobby Probert literally, rest in peace, Bobby. Much love. Yeah. I got another story about Bobby too, but I can't tell it on the show. Jesse knows it. But and literally kicked the shit out of this Sean Egan, the toughest guy in our high school, and Bobby just dismantled him. And wow. What most people didn't understand about Bobby was he was super passive. He didn't want to fight anybody. You had to go out of your way to fight him. You had to want to fight him. Because he didn't want to fight you. He didn't want no trouble. And
he knew what he could do, probably, right?
He knew, and he kicked the shit out of the toughest guy in our school. And that kid walked around the rest of the last year of his high school career with just looking at the floor the whole time, because Bobby Probert basically shellacked him from pillar to post, and nobody could break that fight up. You know what I mean? It was like watching two rabid dogs fighting, and who's going to put their hand in the middle of two rabid dogs fighting? And Bobby was the rabid dog.
Jesus. I think the best thing about growing up in Windsor is you could go down the street and buy a pack of O-Pee-Chee and then cross the bridge and buy Tops cards too. You know?
That's right. Awesome. Hey, part 2, everybody. We're going to talk about hockey card collection.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be a whole show by itself, right? Because we all thought we had the collection, but Ken has a different philosophy on. It's not just the shiny ones that count. You know, there's
I got my dad's 1955 baseball cards in the basement.
Really? Bowman
Thousands.
Or Tops? Can I have your address and can you tell me when you're not home?
They're going to a museum.
55s are the best. They look like they're in a little TV screen.
That's right. Yeah. I think they had wood paneling on some of them.
Yep.
Yep.
Beautiful.
I got my Uncle Marty's 1954 Stanley Cup when they won the Stanley Cup those 4 years, and someone sent me my Uncle Marty's hockey card in perfect condition. Fantastic. And I thought, what a gift! Like,
what a gift! Yeah,
I was like, I was like, that is as solid as it comes. I told the person, would you like me to send you anything? And he said, no, I just thought this was something you would like to have. And I said, you're correct. You're correct.
That's beautiful. And one day you can give it to Dave. Like, that's amazing.
Correct. Right? And then he'll give it to his son, and vice versa. And like I said, I don't collect very much sports paraphernalia, but I do have a jersey of my father. I have my uncle's hockey card. I have Muhammad Ali's gloves. I put this stuff up with Muhammad Ali's gloves. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are my family members.
A lot to you.
Correct.
You get it.
Correct. So I just think it's a big deal. My Uncle Marty's 94 and he's still skiing in Montana. You know what I mean? Wow. Like, he's the last living member of the Detroit Red Wings that era.
Oh my God.
Still alive.
No kidding. Isn't that incredible? I'll have to hunt one of his cards down for my collection. I should look through it. I bet you I might even have a Marty Pavlich.
Well, anybody that's named Marty, and I got to give him a shameless plug, my Uncle Marty, because I love him to death. Anybody named Marty, and Marty Turco was on our show and said, and I knew that Marty Turco was named after my Uncle Marty, but I just wanted Marty to say it before I brought it up. And he goes, "Hey, Mark, do you know I was named after your Uncle Marty?" And I said, "Oh, you're kidding, really?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so is Marty Howe, and everybody named Marty was named after my Uncle Marty.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Still alive.
Nice story.
Still alive.
Still alive out in Montana. Nice.
Out in Montana. Yeah.
Jeez, is he on that show with Kevin Costner? He should. That's the show. I love that show.
No, my Uncle Marty in his spare time, he's at the ski hill as a guy, like, telling people, "Are you an intermediate skier? Or are you a high level skier? You go that way. You go that way." He's got his goggles on. 94 years old. No one has a clue who he is.
That's beautiful. The old legends are like that, eh? They don't go around going best-selling author. You know?
No, and he's not wearing his 4 Stanley Cup rings. He's not wearing his.
Wow. That's incredible.
Well, Ken, we really appreciate your time. We again, when Mark said you were coming, I'm like, oh, what? That's awesome. So I knew we'd have a great conversation, and we could easily fill 2 more hours.
Yeah, we could.
Because
I have to work though.
I know you got to go to work now.
See, Ken, we didn't even touch in on stuff that Jesse and I both have been affected with in our lives, and it's funny because. Not funny, but I just recently realized that you had problems with mental illness and things like that. And Jesse and I both, most people don't know that about me. Most people didn't know about it. No. But like, it's funny, like when Landsberg was on the show, when I was on Off the Record 100 times back in the day, he kind of knew there was something wrong with me. And he was one of the first people to know. Right. And because he saw how I acted in the dressing room, like I didn't really want to talk to people. I was kind of in the corner. He's like, "Oh, Mark, you want to meet this person?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to meet anybody." You know, and he's like, "What?" Like, whoa. And then that was kind of the start of it, you know, like he talked to me a little bit about it.
God bless Michael, man.
Yeah, no question. And then when he was on our show, we did discuss it and things like that. But like I said, I read your story more in depth getting ready for the show. And once again, you know, it's funny because we're not dudes that go, "Hey, there's something wrong with me." It's just and Jesse's the same way, right? It's like, you know, it's funny because when I was listening to your story, you know, he also went through the same stuff with his wife, and I went through the same stuff with my wife. Like, they don't know how to fix it, but we have to figure a way to do that, right? And that
get to the right spot. Yeah.
Correct. And I think that's something in the future we'll have to talk on the show about, because that's still an ongoing thing in this world that a lot of people, and I know the toughest dudes in the world that are okay with talking about it now. You know,
the guy who got to me through Michael's show was Stefan Richer. I
Okay.
loved Stefan Richer as a kid, and then he opened up, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So when I was working at TSN, I went and thanked Michael. He was in his dressing room, and I ran him down. And we had a nice chat. And I've never met Stefan, and I'm doing an event Thursday night, and he's there. And my buddy Shane Corson's there, and Shane has gone through it. And Shane's like, I was asking Shane, did you know that Stefan, who was on your line, was going through the same thing? He said, no, we'd never clue. And I'm going to meet Stefan Thursday night. And I honestly, I've been looking forward to this. And I just want to tell him thank you. Because if it wasn't for him, who knows? Maybe I couldn't have said, oh, that guy that I loved when I was a kid, he was the same. So just talking about it is so powerful. And then when you open up, and you guys know, as soon as you let someone know, then you can let professional know. And then you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
And on a lighter note, my wife used to cut Stefan Richer's hair in Longueuil, Quebec. True story.
Buddy, this is hilarious.
Yeah, no.
Don't cut Stefan Richer's hair. You went
true.
to Parley Beach to see Def Leppard.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Leo Burke grew up in the same town as a guy from my book. You caught a tuna. You fished for tuna in Shelburne, and you were at the Lighthouse Museum in Picton.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Jesse, are we related by chance?
I don't know. I'm
What are
from
you hiding
Vancouver
under-
Island. I'm
what
from
are
the
you
other
hiding under
side.
that beard, Martin. No.
Yeah. I'm French, but I'm from Vancouver Island, so
There's a
a
lot
long
of
ways away
connections,
from.
but there's a lot of connections with Jesse though. People can connect. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Ken,
Well, you're
for
from
joining
Vancouver
us.
Island. You're a Danger Bay fan by chance? Because I love Donnelly Rhodes and Dr. Grant Roberts. Best thing about Danger Bay, boys, no matter what happened at the end of the episode, he knocked the living Christ out of somebody and then hugged the children. Bang! KO! And then hugged Jonah and Nicole.
Oh man, that's
Donnelly's going over the script. It says here at the end of the show, we drive off peacefully into the distance. Can we just insert a man for me to randomly knock out? Okay, let's get that into the show.
Oh boy. Well, we look forward to your book.
We look forward to the book.
Okay.
In the back of my books, you know, the thank yous, I have thanked Grant Roberts from Danger Bay. I just put it in there, Grant Roberts.
Really?
Oh yeah, and then nobody knows, right? But it's for me. I've thanked Jesse Duke. I've thanked Bo and Luke Duke. I've thanked Joey Jeremiah. Yeah, Joey Jeremiah's in there.
The Duke boys are some of my favorites. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
They do anything. They do anything to get that mortgage payment to Boss Hoggins on, man.
Definitely.
And weekly. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Weekly.
Yeah. They didn't mess around.
You really got a mortgage on the Duke farm? I mean, God, you guys made a bad deal back in the day.
Well, anyone watching, if you're wondering why the sports update isn't happening, it's because Ken's still on the show. But
yeah,
Ivaka can take it over.
Yeah, go ahead, Osman. Yeah, I got to go watch some hockey. I should probably.
Okay. Well, thanks once again so much for joining us.
Thanks.
And we'd love to have you back one day.
Definitely.
That was awesome. I'll come back with you guys anytime. This was fun, Mark. Thanks for reaching out, Mark.
My pleasure. Awesome. My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Ken
Well,
Reid.
that's Mr. Ken Reid, everybody.
Awesome.
We'd like to thank our sponsors, Crystal Glass,
Yes,
Crystal
we will.
Glass for all your glass needs. And of course, Meathead.
Meathead.
Meat,
It's
seafood,
barbecue season.
and it is barbecue season. Get out
Buy
there.
yourself a nice T-bone or a brisket
Yeah, and the place looks great. So Ken's did a phenomenal job, and it looks fantastic. And
or a nice leg of lamb.
why do you sound like the Grim Reaper when you talk about meat?
No, that's my
That's your meat voice?
talking voice.
Is that your the meat?
I'm
sexy
gonna. All right, let's write it in here. I'm gonna be the voice of meatheads now.
Yeah, you should.
Well, thank you so much, Ken Reid, for joining us. What a great guy, and
Awesome.
We'll absolutely have him back. That was amazing. And that's Mark Pavlich. I'm Jesse Martineau. This has been the Me and Jesse podcast. Most exciting 60 minutes in sports and beyond. We will see.
Hey,
What?
Congrats to Red Bull.
Yes, Red Bull won. That's good.
That's
We're
just
on
a
the
little
right
plug.
track again.
This little plug. Okay,
Yep.
go.
All right. Well, until next time, everybody. We'll see you.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/meandjesse.